Well, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has left the door open to introducing blasphemy laws. Here we go again with the assault on free speech. Why? Because a Labor MP demanded the Koran be protected as part of Islamophobia Awareness Month. Joining me now is Sky News contributor and GB News host Emily Carver. Emily, thank you for joining me. This is frightening. Is Keir Starmer seriously considering this?
He is totally weak and cowardly not to just slap this down and remind this Labour MP that we live in Britain, that we no longer live in the medieval age. I mean, what century are we living in? I thought we were living in the 21st century, yet a Labour MP for the governing party in this country can stand there and demand a law against the desecration of the Koran. It's absolutely outrageous. This is so depressing, I can't even describe. But the problem is, Danica, is that we already seem to have a bit of a blasphemy law in this country in all but name. Last year, a 14-year-old boy was suspended from a school for allegedly scuffing a Koran. His mother was hauled before the community because they were so angry that she had to plead for her son's safety at a local mosque. We also have a teacher who is still in hiding in West Yorkshire because he faced protests from Muslims in 2021 after he dared to include an illustration of the Prophet Muhammad in one of his religious studies lessons. This is absolutely crazy. For the Prime Minister not to completely slap this down is outrageous. He just said, I agree desecration is awful and it should be condemned across the House and that we must commit to tackling all forms of hatred and division, including Islamophobia. This makes me so angry, Danica.
Oh, and we're here in 2024 and blasphemy laws are being considered. Unbelievable. It's ridiculous. Now, Emily, the BBC, much like the ABC here in Australia, has become one big farce. But this really takes the cake after the BBC urged staff to wear Palestinian colours and a keffiyeh for a workplace day of action for Palestine. Emily, what happened to impartiality at a broadcaster funded by taxpayers?
Well, I mean, our broadcaster couldn't even call Hamas terrorists, couldn't even call Hamas, the terrorist organisation prescribed in this country and around the world as terrorists. So you can see that they have a problem with impartiality at the BBC. But yes, the left-wing unions, again, they've all ganged up together to demand that every worker in the country take part in this workplace day of action for Palestine. But I must say, Danica, it does appear to have been a little bit of a flop. The Socialist Worker newspaper, that newspaper said one of the biggest successes of this day was a 200-person rally outside SOAS, which is part of the University of London. Now, if you know anything about that university, it is very, very pro-Palestine and indeed quite anti-Western, actually, on the whole. So if that's their biggest strength for this march, then I think that's pretty weak. But I do think this is very worrying for Jewish colleagues at the BBC, that there could be a hostile environment being created. One of the unions involved in this is the National Union of Journalists. We know that a lot of Jewish journalists have decided to leave the National Union of Journalists because it's created this hostile environment for Jews. And they talk about wanting to release the hostages too and how important that is. But I don't imagine you'll see any Israeli flags at these protests.
Yeah, I highly doubt that. Now, before we let you go, let's chat royals. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will be unfortunately gracing screens again thanks to a new documentary from Germany. What more can you tell us?
Yes, a new documentary from Germany. Now, we know that German press absolutely slammed Meghan Markle and Prince Harry when they left their royal duties, when they abandoned Britain for Montecito. So apparently this is going to give a little bit of insight into how their reputations have changed and all the different things that they've got going on. I'm not sure exactly it'll be what they're hoping to hear from this documentary, but we wait to see.
Sounds like another ratings flop. Emily Carver, good to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this evening.